Good evening, this is Eswatini TV News Bulletin 8, coming to you live from the capital of the Kingdom of Eswatini, Mbabane. My name is Notelesi Tole. First up, here's a look at tonight's headlines. The Ministry of Health says it is monitoring developments regarding the temporary suspension of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine by the United States Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The Minister of Health says the 4 malaria deaths last year are a major setback in the country's effort to eliminate malaria. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Bongan Masugu, says the ministry is yet to conduct inspection regarding the country's 2021 harvest. And now the news in detail. The Ministry of Health is monitoring developments regarding the temporary suspension of Johnson & Johnson vaccine by the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Food and Drug Agency. This was said by the Minister of Health.
The suspension of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in America follows that 6 women who were found with blood clots soon after taking jabs of the vaccine. Meanwhile, the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention, it is yet to consult with the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention regarding the issue. However, it says African countries should continue using the vaccine. On April 9 this year, the Minister of Health, Lizinkosi, issued a statement saying the country is expecting to receive over 190,000 doses of Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The Minister says the country is keeping a close eye regarding the issue.
Siyaqhubeka kubuka iscience nabo science bethu baqhubeka kulandzela edude ukuthi kuthiwani kusafe kangakanani.
The Johnson & Johnson vaccine was used to vaccinate millions of people before it was suspended. Our medical experts are keeping a close eye on developments surrounding the suspension of the vaccine.
Nalaba bale melika lapho bakumise khona base temporary hold, nalapha kumakhelwane base temporary hold. Stawuva ke ukuthi emva kwaloko lebakuthola ukuthi ngoba nangabe into letawulimata umhlaba vele itawumiswa umhlaba wonke.
It is important for us to ensure that the vaccines be brought in the safest possible way to ensure that people of Eswatini are fully protected. Studies are yet to be conducted to confirm relations between the blood clots and the vaccine. That is why the vaccine has been temporarily suspended. We are awaiting findings from the international experts, and should it be found that the vaccine will endanger lives, it will be stopped worldwide.
Ungasebenda sitawubuka lapho ngoba njengoba sibuka nje maningi lama doses lesiwabuka lokuthi siode ngebunenge sendiwa ngiko lokuthi usiodile ukhanze ukuthi bese basinaba naseba Russian banetisa wonke bese bakunika lokuncane lokuncane.
The World Health Organization on Wednesday had a press briefing and informed countries to continue using Johnson & Johnson vaccine. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Muzim Konta Mbabane.
The Minister of Health, Lizinkosi, has received 6,000 units of Primacan drug from the Malaria Fund. The chairperson of the fund, Tandile Ngumalo, says they purchased the batch at 260,000 emalangeni.
The End Malaria Fund was established to mobilize supplemental resources to close the budget gap in the National Malaria Elimination Program, including support towards ongoing surveillance of malaria to prevent reintroduction.
It's very rare, actually. Not very many people, as you are aware, have access to it. It's very small as well. If you look inside, you won't believe it, but there are 1,000 tablets in here. So you take 2 drugs, and this box can take care of very many people. We bought 6,000 of it. And the 6,000, we had a quotes, Minister, would you believe, from 1 million to 265.
The Minister of Health, Lizinkosi, says due to the low numbers of cases in the country, sourcing this drug has been a challenge as suppliers are reluctant to supply small numbers.
The drug is used as a single dose gematocytoside. It eliminates the liver stage of the parasite that poses a great risk of onward malaria transmission in people that have been cured of malaria.
The use of primaquine as a gametosectocyde has therefore great potential for reducing transmission of falciparum malaria in low transmission settings and can therefore prevent malaria transmission.
The minister says government is still working towards reaching its commitment of completely eliminating malaria in the country. Reporting, I'm Lungelele Makakula with Muzim Konda in Matapa.
The Ministry of Public Works and Transport on Thursday visited the Eswatini region for a roads inspection. The Minister for Public Works and Transport, Chief Ndwandwe, says the exercise is a response to mitigate the many roads that were significantly damaged during Tropical Cyclone Eloise.
Some of the roads that the Ministry of Public Works and Transport in the Roads Department inspected during the tour include MR10, Mbulungwane, Saliche as well as Sipambanweni, to name a few. The Minister for Public Works and Transport, Chief Ndwandwe, says the roads will be fixed using different methods respectively. Some will be bladed, some re-gravelled and some single-sealed.
Namhla lihlelo lwethu lungaloko nje ukuthi sengide nami esigabeni sami etiko sengilodibukela lesimo lesikhona la emgwaqweni lenaso singakahlali ukuthi kumbe sihlele sibukele sitobuka nje siyakwenda lokusemandleni ukuthi kusetshenzwe kule migwaqo noma kulesinye isikhathi ukhanza ukuthi sihlushwa imoto ukuthi digulumba dihle disifela kepha-ke kubambisana kukhona lokukhulu diyangena emagaraji dikhona kulungiseka diphume kepha-ke lawo malanga lambala sisuke sekasilahlekele kepha nje siyakhona kusibamba simo sitilungise dibuye siyakholwa ukuthi umsebenzi utawuqhubeka sisitakale kukhona imigwaqo lesitayinika ema-contract latimele ukuthi asibambise ayilungise. Sikulo msebenzi ke manje ngeke kube ngiyo yonke imigwaqo yelive kodwa abangileyo nje lesitayi attenda leminye lesalako litiko litawuqhubeka njengaloku liqhubeka.
Ndwandwe says the exercise will be done in all different regions of the country. He says they have met with the National Disaster Management Agency and devised a plan for building and fixing bridges that were damaged during the heavy rains. For Eswatini TV News, Sifiso Ngumalo with Smuva Shongwe Mtambama.
The country has had 4 malaria deaths in the past 12 months between January and December last year. The Minister of Health, Lizinkosi, says this is a major setback in the country's journey to malaria elimination.
The Minister of Health, Lizinkosi, says the current batch came at the right time when the country needs it, following the heavy rainfall received in the past quarters, which did not negatively affect the country but the region as a whole.
Due to the recent rain and cyclone, the country has seen an increase in cases in Madlangempisi, Inkundla, areas mostly affected being Eswatini, Nyonyane, Madlangempisi, Blanzeni, Nasemkiweni. Last month, a total of 90 cases were seen, and to date we have seen a record case of 50 cases since the beginning of the month, of which 98% of them are locally transmitted. And Madam Chairman, in this regard, we have had a major setback in our journey towards malaria elimination, as we have had 4 deaths in the past 12 months. 2 occurred between January and December, and the other 2 have occurred between February and March this year.
The minister has thanked the End Malaria Fund for the support, including the development of malaria COVID-19 messages, the hiring of temporary staff to complete indoor residual spraying in 2020-2021, and the printing of malaria epidemic response and preparedness guidelines. Reporting, I'm Lungelele Makakula with the Muslim Konda in Matapa.
Pick and Pay stores in Eswatini will spend over 1 million emalangeni in a month-long price subsidy program for basic food commodities, which will result in consumers making big savings from April up until the end of May this year. This was announced by African Alliance Director Stephen Gininza. African Alliance owns Pick and Pay Eswatini.
The negative effects that the COVID-19 pandemic has had on consumers in Eswatini, the Pick n Pay franchise in the kingdom took a bold step of negotiating for partnerships with the store's different suppliers in a bid to bring significant price reductions on commodities in the month of April and May. African Alliance Director Eswatini Gininza says suppliers quite surprisingly embraced this idea, hence the franchise will slash prices on basic food commodities such as vegetables, meat, sugar, meal, rice, milk and other products. Gininza says the subsidy program will last for a month.
We are launching a program called Pick n Pay Price Knockout. As you can see, it's a price knockout going to run from tomorrow, which is 16th of April 2021 till the end of May 2021. We are going to spend in excess of $1 million on our products to give back to our communities, to give back to our clients, to our stakeholders. This is involved a very aggressive campaign from our side with our suppliers to actually get that. So this is in excess of $1 million. Now this obviously besides the products that I'm talking about, and by the way, this includes your normal groceries and fresh. Well, that's what we call fresh in here. We are quite excited that today we want to launch, or we are launching our price knockouts, where you're going to get crazy, if I use the word crazy in an appropriate manner, price discounts to our products.
Gininza says the people of Eswatini have greatly supported Pick n Pay stores even in the hardest times of the outbreak of COVID-19. He says the stores found it only fair to give back to the people of Eswatini in this manner. The 9 Pick n Pay stores in the kingdom employ over 750 people. More stores will soon be opened in peri-urban and rural places. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengiwe Ndlovu with Mbongwa Dube at Malkans.
Minister of Health Lizinkosi says it is very important for eMaswati to conquer the COVID-19 pandemic. However, private sector companies are still not allowed to purchase the vaccine. The minister said this in response to a question asked by a reporter of the station.
Following the interest of procuring the COVID-19 vaccine by some of the companies in the private sector, Minister of Health Lizinkosi says the manufacturing of vaccines has not yet reached a sufficient level for companies to purchase them.
COVID-19 vaccines are scarce globally. At the moment, pharmaceutical laboratories that manufacture the vaccines have a standard procedure of working. Big corporates also have tried to buy the vaccines to help their people, but it has been challenging because the vaccines are insufficient. Governments put a stop to vaccines being set aside for these corporates because they foster the vaccination to working people and they leave out the poor.
Bayazama kubabekela eceleni bese bohulumende bayakumisa ngoba bohulumende babuka ukuthi ngaze kwentwe njalo bese kugonyela abanye abantu usilala abahlupheke kakhulu bese bayasala.
The minister also mentioned that governments ensure that there is no circulation of fake COVID-19 vaccines, hence it is best for eMaswati to vaccinate through the government. On Wednesday, 5 people tested positive for COVID-19 and only 1 death was recorded. For Eswatini TV, Nomalungelo Jele with Muzi Mkonda in Matapa.
The Ministry of Agriculture Principal Secretary Bongani Masuku says the ministry is yet to conduct inspection regarding the country's 2021 harvest. Masuku said this following a report by the Food and Agriculture Organization, which projects that over 200,000 eMaswati are projected to be facing acute food insecurity.
The report by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, which was released on April 8, suggests that over 200,000 eMaswati are projected that they will not have enough food during this year's harvest. However, the report further suggests that cereal production will increase. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Bongani Masuku, says the ministry does not have much to say about the report, as this year's harvest is yet to be inspected.
As you know, that we harvest around April, May, then we have to consume that food throughout the dry season until we start farming in October, November. So that's what that report covers. But we are yet to go out to do the assessment for the situation for the season which we are on right now, which is from November 2020 to April, May 2021, which is the current season we're on. So we do not have a focus yet as of now, but we have had some challenges. We know that the predictions on rainfall was that we're going to have normal to above normal. But what happened this year is that we had a lot of rain at the start of the season. There were dry spells which destroyed a lot of crops. Then there were rains again which took some time, and also unfortunately later we have hailstorms which destroyed a lot of crops. So we are yet to go out to do the assessment.
The report further adds that imports of maize bought for human consumption and livestock feed are forecast at above average 166,000 tons and sourced entirely from South Africa. The cereal import requirement in the forthcoming 2021-2022 marketing year are foreseen to decline year on year. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Msimizi Lushaba Mbabane.
Eswatini Meteorological Services Director Dudu Nhlengetwa has given an assurance that the 20 automated weather stations which are constructed in different parts of Eswatini do not in any way emit harmful substances which could negatively affect humans, as some people in communities have started to suspect. Nhlengetwa says instead, these weather stations will help improve the quality of weather services.
The 20 automated weather stations, which are being constructed by the Ministry of Tourism and Environment for its Meteorological Services Department, are being built with funding assistance from the United Nations Green Climate Fund and the Government of Italy. Eswatini Meteorological Services Director Dudu Nhlengetwa says the automated weather stations are quite important for the people of Eswatini, as they will greatly improve the general weather services offering. Nhlengetwa dismisses the myth that the stations emit harmful substances.
Titeshi lesifaka kodwa simo selitulu ditawukala tinhlangothi letihlukene tesimo selitulu lekufaka ekhasi imvula emazinga ekushisa nalesi kupita phecelezi sithi pressure.
She says the weather stations will greatly enhance temperature predictions, pressure, as well as soil health. She says such comprehensive information will help meteorologists collect comprehensive weather data while enhancing analysis. She says information collected from these weather stations will also help the department inform other sectors as they plan development projects. The weather stations cost $370,000 or 5.5 million emalangeni. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengiwe Ndlovu with Mbongwa Dube in Mbabane.
The Teaching Service Commission is calling out all 2017 and 2018 graduates with primary teachers diploma who are not employed to submit their certificates. Eswatini TV's Fortune Dlangamandla has more.
The announcement is made by the Teaching Service Commission Executive Secretary Ngamsile Mchali. Mchali says the certificates should be submitted on Friday, April 16 at 9 a.m. at the Commission's offices under the Ministry of Education and Training. Mchali emphasizes that only teachers who are not working who are supposed to submit their certificates. She says these are those who graduated with their primary teacher's diploma in the years 2017 and 2018 from Ngwane Teachers College, William Picture Training College, as well as Southern Africa Nazarene University. On April 7, the Teaching Services Commission hired 1,200 contract teachers and further renewed contracts of 1,192 teachers. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, Mbabane.
The community of Manzimhlophe, with funding assistance received from the Eswatini Environment Fund, has fully rehabilitated a big life-threatening donga at Manzimhlophe area under Eswatini 1 constituency. The donga rehabilitation project was enhanced by the fund's partnership with the Land Use Planning and Development Department in the Ministry of Agriculture, which provided huge earthworks machinery.
The Eswatini Environment Fund, which is housed in the Eswatini Environment Authority, last year funded 12 projects whose focus was on rehabilitating degraded aspects of the environment like dongas and neglected wetlands. One project which received funding was a deep life-threatening donga at Manzimhlophe area under Shiselweni 1 constituency. Before rehabilitation, this donga had already claimed one life, while livestock grazing nearby was always at risk of perishing. Environment Fund Officer Payday Langwenya says the community of Manzimhlophe had been awarded a grant of 80,000 emalangeni to rehabilitate the donga.
This year, the Board of Trustees for the Environment Fund funded 4 big dongas in the country, and one of those dongas is located in the Shiselweni 1 in Gundla, in a community called Manzimhlophe. I'm very glad to say that much of the work has been completed. What is remaining now is that we engage with the ministry on the forestry department to plant trees, to ensure that this topsoil or the soil doesn't get washed off, because it's not just about doing work on the donga, but also ensuring that there is ground cover, that there is a root system that is able to hold these soils intact.
Langwenya says with the Manzimhlophe donga and with 4 other big dongas funded by the fund last year, what really helped was the partnership the fund established with the Land Use Planning and Development Department in the Ministry of Agriculture, which provided heavy earthworks machinery for effective rehabilitation work. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengiwe Ndlovu with Mbongwa Dube in Babane.
Good evening once again. You are still watching Eswatini TV. Here's a look at our sports news. Malanti Chiefs Public Relations Officer Amandla Maduna says not having their coach Christopher Tembo is costing them games. Tembo, who is from Zambia, has not been able to come back to the team because of COVID restrictions in his country and also some court cases he has to deal with. Maduna said this in an interview with Eswatini TV sports journalist in Babane.
Coaches are very key to the way teams usually play, hence their presence in most cases matters, which can also influence the result. Malandi Chiefs have been struggling since the resumption of the season, since they do not have their coach, Christopher Tembo, who is home in Zambia. Malandi Chiefs Public Relations Officer, Mandla Maduna, explains why the coach is not back yet. Manta says the problem started when the coach was not able to come back home because he uses public transport where you need to book ahead, and it's proven to be a problem for him because of COVID-19 restriction, and they also not able to communicate adequate with him. He also got some court cases that need attention back home. Madonna concluded by saying once the court battle is done, they will then see how they help him to come back to the team.
Coach attending
Malandi has not been able to win any game since the resumption of the season, as they were defeated by Monene Pirates by 2-0. It also went down to Kellys by 3-0, and their last game they played, they lost to Sundowns by 2-1. Raymond Lamine has been the one leading the team. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizom Sibi with Linda Dlamini, Mbabane.
The Premier League of Eswatini's Chief Operations Officer Patros Vilagati has warned fans not to go anywhere near the stadiums during the MTN Premier League games, as fans are currently banned from inside and outside the stadiums because of COVID-19 regulations. Vilagati was speaking in an interview with Eswatini TV sports journalists in Manzini.
The regulations for COVID-19 that allowed football to resume their activities stated that no fans should be allowed inside and outside the stadium during games. But fans seem to be defying those regulations, as they have found some creative ways of watching the games by sometimes climbing on trees and watching over the wall fans around the stadiums. The chief operating officer from the Premier League of Eswatini, Petros Vilakazi, has come out to strongly warn against doing such.
Umbele singakuqela ke ngokuthi siyathi kusibalandzeli bayilambele ibhola futhi bawathandze emacembu abo. Lokuthi ikhona lemkhuba lese siyibona ikakhulu kulama stadium lokwenza ukuthi kumbe anetihlahla.
Vilakazi says they understand that fans want to watch their teams, but they are asking that they should stop trying to watch those games from trees around the stadium, as that may even cause harm to themselves. And they should not only attempt to go anywhere near the stadiums, more especially those open grounds. Vilakazi says this will even result to their teams being fined for failing to control their supporters.
Ikakhulu kwathi tinkundleni tethu letifana nabo Prince of Wales, tinkundleni tethu letifana nabo bomayaluka lokufaka ekhathi bona bomhlume nabo bonhlangana siyacela lokuthi sibambisane ngoba lokho kuyagcina kubangela namaqembu abo emacala.
He concluded by sending a strong warning to teams that they should only let only officials who have accreditations and not share those accreditations with anyone, failing which will result in the teams being fined also. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizwe Msibi with Linda Dlamini Babane.
Well, Eswatini, that's all we had for you this evening. Before we conclude, let's have a look at tonight's headlines.
The Ministry of Health says it is monitoring developments regarding the temporary suspension of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine by the United States Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The Minister of Health says the 4 malaria deaths last year are a major setback in the country's effort to eliminate malaria. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Bongan Masuku, says the ministry is yet to conduct inspection regarding the country's 2021 harvest.
And with that, we sum up our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update from myself and the crew here at Eswatini TV. Thank you for watching. Good night.
While everything else is going up, we at Spar have found great prices that go down and down and down with our Spar products Best for Less sale. Get 2 litre Spar carbonated soft drink. Buy any 3 for 27 emalangeni and 500 gram Spar margarine brick. Buy 2 for 30 emalangeni. The Spar products Best for Less sale now on.